rusty wheels and knew I'd take her home. I brought her to my farm in an Amish neighborhood where simple living's valued. She'd be loved and understood. I put her on a treadle stand and coaxed her wheel to turn. I felt her joy and easing with my study and concern. I cleaned her and I oiled her, showed her off to all my friends, repaired the hurts of years and let her sew again.
Hello everybody, welcome back. So this time we're going to be working on this fun machine. It's a Davis vertical feed machine. So basically on these machines there's a walking foot on them because the whole feed mechanism is up here. There's no feed dogs. Oops, no feed dogs. It's just this walking foot. Down here is what's going to dictate the stitch length and all of that, which is really fun. And she is freed up. She does move. She has hardly any paint left, just a few chips here and there, you know, but we're going to take care of that. But before we can make her beautiful, I have to take her apart. So as always, I have my Ziploc bags, a little tub to put her stuff in. I'm just going to start taking things off, trying to catalog it. I have been warned that there are all kinds of things up here that I need to pay careful attention to and document. So I will be doing that. And you know what? That looks like a good place to start. So I'm going to tip her up on her back end, get this lazy Susan out of here and get started. Okay, so the first thing I can see is there is a plate screw missing here. I will see if one of my other ones might fit. I don't know if it will or not. I'm going to go ahead and pull out these screws and let you see everything behind it, because this is going to be the exciting part here. Okay, so the 3 screws are out. Okay, this plate actually comes all the way down. It looks like the lifter lever is in there. I'm looking for another, oops, okay, there it goes. All right, so I'm going to be very careful and just carefully lift this straight up. I just heard something click. All right, so this is what we have on the inside here. This little foot, it needs to keep that on the inside. But we have this, and it says the number 460, so I can see that number on the outside. It has this little sliding position here. This is the back of the presser bar. The needle bar is still in here. These are both part of the presser bar system, okay? I'm going to set that down for just a minute and take a look at what's in here before I lose anything. This needle bar, needle bracket at least, is just going to lift straight off. And it does have a needle in there right now. I'm going to go ahead and take that needle out. I know that that needle works. It's one of the super long old-timey ones. So I'm just taking that out so I don't stab myself. And here is what it looks like. So on the bottom, the needle is going to go in this little bracket right here. If you can see that little nub, the flat part of this very long needle is going to slide in there. And on this side, you can see where that stop is, okay? So let me put that back. So right there is the stop. That's as high as that needle goes. And then this gets cranked into place. This looks like a little thread guide that is a part of this side of the bracket here. Okay. And it sits just straight on top of here. Now there's a little nub that comes out of this cog, and there is a bearing on it, and that bearing is going to travel back and forth in here, and that's going to regulate this going up and down, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and put the needle bar and the needle in its own little baggie for right now. Okay, I want to take a closer look at this piece now. So this plate, this long part, number 460, if I just lift it straight out, on the back side is this piece. Okay, and that rotates. I'm going to leave that connected. I'm just going to clean up around that because it looks like it's just pushed in. I don't see a screw that I can undo that with. So this is going to sit in here, and inside of this piece there is a little bearing there, and this little toothed area is going to go over it. Okay, so when it goes up and down, it'll go up and down on that bearing, I believe. Okay, so I'm going to pull this piece off. And what else do we have in here? We have our regular type-ish presser foot. Before I take that off, I want to mention up here, there is a little set screw on the side. And I'm not too sure what this is right here. I'm going to undo this flat screw head, and I think this is another bearing right here, okay? And if that is a bearing, the question is, what is traveling on that bearing? I believe that it is the needle bar. As it slides up and down, it slides up against it. That's my thought right now, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and take this off with that little set screw in this and put it in with the needle bar. Okay, so I have this set screw coming out, and it's fairly long. It's got a little slot at the top of it. Okay, so I'm just gonna need to find another little dish somewhere. Just put it right here for right now, and then see if I can undo. Oh, I need to change the tip of my screwdriver here. Hang on. Okay, let's see if I can remove this little screw right here. Okay, loose, and okay, it's a big flat top screw, a tiny shoulder on it. Okay, and that lifts this off. All right, so there's just a little depression there, and it looks like the tip where this bearing is set on, that's just kind of riding in that depression, and this just sits straight on top of it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and try to unscrew up here. Very tight. Okay, so removing this finial. So here's how it's positioned. There is a little thread guide up here in the front. The toe of this is going towards the side with the thread guide. Okay, so unscrewing this finial first. Then the spring, no washer or anything, just a big brass spring. And I need to loosen up this clamp right here. Hang on, let me change my tip again. Okay, so getting this screw here loosened. Just a big flat screw, no shoulder or anything. And I need to get this little clamp loosened from this bar, and I know it's been stuck there for a long time, so maybe if I just untwist this, it will come out. Do you see that bearing there? That's the one I was talking about before that little fork was riding in. Okay. And it looks like it's in place. It's not going to go anywhere, so we're leaving that in. This is the other side of the presser foot. And this is the clamp that came off, so I'm going to keep all of that together. Okay, there's a couple things left on here. I've got my lifter lever and a little thread guide. I'm going to try to get that thread guide off because we're going to need to do a lot of cleaning on here. Changing my bit again. All right, so it's just a little flat screw. Again, no shoulder or anything, just a little flat screw like that. And then I can pull this thread guide out from the inside, okay? And this little hole there is where it was screwed in. This is the little brass looking wire that was the thread guide. There's another one right here. It looks like it has a set screw. If it comes out easy, great. If not, I might just leave that in place. And over here, the lifter lever, it doesn't have a screw. It just has a pin, a very dirty pin, but a pin. So I may have to leave that in place because I'm not a fan of punching out pins, especially, you know, on something like this. So I'm going to call that good. Keep this little... These are the three screws that we're holding the plate on. They're very long. I'm missing one, but you know, 3 will hold it well. And this, I'm going to keep those together so I know that they're for the plate. This is going to go in a separate pile because it's got to get some heavy-duty cleaning done. Okay, now that that is off, I want to spin the wheel and watch how this is working. Well, it shouldn't be making that noise, but I took all of its stuff off, so it will be. This is actually going to be controlling the stitch length, and I don't like that bearing rubbing on there. So I need to pay close attention to how all of this is set up, because if I don't get it back just right, my stitch length won't work. This... the knob for controlling the stitch length is on the back side here. See how when I'm turning the knob up here, it rotates up and then back down here. There's some gears in the background. I can see the teeth of the gears back there. Let's see if I can get you in there close enough to see those little gears moving. Okay, so with that, let's get started. Not too sure where to start on this because I don't see any screw heads visible. I only do on this side. So I'm going to actually flip it over and see where that stitch length adjuster is on this side so you can see that. But before I do that, there's this piece here that I want to take off. There is a screw. This is the back side of the machine. There's a screw there that looks like it's holding it on. Very dirty in there. Hang on. Trying to get some of the stuff out of that screw so I can get a screwdriver in there. Well, give me a minute to play with that. Maybe that will help. Okay, so here's the screw that's holding on this bracket. Okay, that will be beautiful when it's all clean. Hopefully this will too. So I'm going to go ahead and put those away. Okay, so this is the stitch length knob, and it looks like it has a screw to take off, but it looks like it's one of those ones that it's like a prong kind of screwdriver. So, don't know how that's going to work for me. Let me try just with a regular little flathead to see if that's even going to fit. I don't think so. It's higher in the middle here, and the little holes are on either side. So, I do not have one of those tools. I guess I could dissect a regular screwdriver and grind something in. Oh, while I'm over here, this piece wants to come off. So I'm going to go ahead and take this ugly little black back plate off. Again, the screw hole is full of yuck. Okay. And I'm very hopeful that these plates can get nice and shiny again. That's my hope. Okay, big screw, big flat screw, and a plate. If you look really hard and squint your eyes, you can see something shiny there. So again, I have hopes for that plate. While I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and take off the tension. It's got one of these thumb releases. That's the tension release. It's a thumb piece. So we've got this little nut coming off first, and then a spring with a divider on it, and then this. Okay, so basically the disc has this on it, and then the back one, is that part of the casting? It's hard to tell. It looks like this unscrews. So let me clean this out a little bit and see if I can untwist this from the casting. Okay, it is slowly turning. Slowly turning. Get that back in there. Okay. So that has come out. Now the question is, will this pop off now? Yes. All right, so there's one pin sticking out here. I'm not sure what's holding that pin on, but I'm not going to yank on it right now. And just put all of this in its own little bag, because it definitely needs a lot of work for the tension. Okay. Okay, so this little brass looking tube here is an oil port. So there's a hole up here to drop oil in, and that's going to drop it on just the right place here. So that's good. Over here on this side, there's a big screw here to release this thread take-up lever. I'm going to go ahead and try to get that off. Need to lay the machine down like this. Okay, let's see what we can do. There it goes. Oops, you didn't see that, but trust me, it is starting to come loose. Oh, goodness. Everything is very, very yucky. But I think that once it's cleaned up, it's going to be okay. So if I can just wiggle this out, turn the dial. Okay, so this is the bearing that's riding inside the cog, and this is the screw. It actually is like this. From this side, it's going to go in like that, okay? So yeah, very, very dirty, but at least it's complete. All right, so with that out, I'm looking at this, and the only thing I can see, there's no screw head here. On the back, it looks like there's a pin or something that's the back of the shaft for this. There is one little flathead screw here. If you can see on the side right there that I'm going to attempt to take out. And hopefully that will do something. Well, it wasn't easy to get out, and so before I try any harder, I was just poking around here, and the end of this screw is not attached to this piece at all, which is making me think that this whole thing comes out. Now there's a spring here that is all wound up into a spring, basically, and I want to make sure that that stays in the correct position. So here is my thought right now, in the whole vein of doing no harm kind of thing. I may leave this in there and clean up around it because I don't want to bang from the backside. And I think I can get to it, if anything, while it is in my tank, because I am going to put this in my e-tank to totally clean it out. It can get started with all of that. So right now, I'm leaving this alone. As you can see, it is working. Hang on, let me close that clutch up. You know, it just needs a whole lot of clean and care. Yeah, that's my thought right now. You know, things can change, but that's my thought right now. So let me go ahead and flip her over to this side here, and I'm just going to take her bobbin winder off. There is a big screw off to the side over here. A big screw bit. Man, put her upright. So I have gravity working for me here. Well, that's an interesting way to do it. All right, let me see if I can get this one off here. All right, let's see. There it goes. I'm just going to pull this whole little mechanism off at once. That's a fascinating little long bobbin winder. Love that. Get that put up. And I'm going to go ahead and take the wheel off too. My little dog came in to visit. Hey, Misty. Say hi. Isn't she cute? Okay. Let me go ahead and try to take this little screw off. My goodness. Let me tighten it up first. That might help so it doesn't unscrew on me. Different bit. All right. I'm going to have to mess with this little bitty screw for a minute. Okay. Got it loosened. Little screw. Looks just like a regular screw. Okay. I'm going to set that in here. Pulling off. So there you go. And it has words on the outside, so that's helpful. Pulling off this washer. 2 prongs. And they are completely flat, so they're not poking in or out. Okay. Whew, came straight off. That's great. Okay, so this is all one piece here. Definitely going to get a lot of cleaning on that. And let's take a peek at the bottom here. Oops, something just fell. The shuttle just came out. Let's take a look at that while we have it here. Just looks like a regular little shuttle. This does say Davis on it, so it's the original shuttle case, bobbin case, so that's fabulous. I'm going to keep all of that together. Now down here underneath, pretty simple, pretty simple. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is see if I can undo this nut right there. So let me see if I can get a wrench for that. Okay, it looks like it's a 1/2 inch nut. So got that off. It's curved on the outside. You know what? I need to get these put away real quick. So let me get this in a baggie. Okay, so underneath that nut, I have a washer. Okay, and you can tell it's kind of oval-ish because this, if you can see, it's flat on these 2 sides and threaded around. Okay, so now that that is out, I'm going to unscrew this. Ooh, I see ball bearings in there. putting my hand underneath in case anything wants to come loose. Hang on one sec. Okay, so this ring is untwisting. That is the outside, that is the inside. If you can tell, inside that nastiness, there's a crevice. That is where this little set of bearings go. So I'm gonna keep all that together, but I'm definitely gonna be cleaning all of that out. I'm gonna pop a magnet on top of that to try to hold it together somehow. Okay, so now this should be able to pop out, and it does. Okay, there is a little round ball here. The ball is going to sit in this area, but there's these two little washers, and they each are shaped so that that little ball can sit inside. And it just came out super easy. So I would have assumed I would have had to loosen this screwdriver, but I did not. So I'm going to keep this together. Okay, so now I'm going to reach down here, and there's another set of bearings. Okay, set those in here. Those bearings were face down, so this ring was on the outside. Okay, don't want those to come loose. And there's one more ring here. I'm hoping it comes off. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Kind of thinking that that wants to stay for right now. Maybe when it's come out of the tank, it'll feel more like leaving, but for right now it's on there. It says VF on the bottom, I guess. That's for vertical feed. I don't know, you can see that. It says VF down there. So yeah, I'm leaving this ring on there for right now. There's a little wire right here. I'm actually going to leave that on there right now too. I'm feeling like leaving things for some reason. I'm going to need to take these plates off, and you know what? I'm leaving this in here too. This whole vertical shaft right there. I'm going to leave that in there too. Right now it's moving. There's a lot of accessibility there. I can get to it from that spot. This is the thing that's bothering me the most. And there are a lot of screws here, but I don't want to start just pulling those screws out, because you can see all of those gears there. The last thing I want to do, because I don't have a guidebook or anything to look at, the last thing I want to do is to pull this out and not be able to sync up those gears the way they need to be. So that's what that whole trepidation is about. So at this point, with this in place, because in order to get this vertical shaft out, I'd have to take this big bolt out, and it's moving. It is moving, and I can clean that up. So I'm going to put her in my tank. This is going to end up being a very short little video here, just because I'm leaving so much in. Oh, I need to take her plates off here. Let's see here. The front one just fell off. So let me see. I know the back one is going to be sticky. They always are. Let me see if I can get the little front plates here. They're always a little bit tricky because of their position, and it looks like it's going to be kind of a pain. So, give me a sec. See if I can get in here and try to loosen them. That is a big opening there. Hang on. Yeah, that's a very big slot there. I need to have a really, really wide, but not too, a very thick but not too wide bit in order to do this without damaging it. So let's see here. Well, Tell you what, I'm going to spray some stuff on that and let it think about itself, and then I'll try to take it out again tomorrow after it is sat in its oil for a while. Actually, I wanted to show you, I am taking this little wire off. It's got tiny little screws holding it on here, and the curved part is on this side, the flat part is over here. Okay, like that. Taking off this little screw. And while I was under here, because I'm having trouble with this center plate, right here and right here are the back sides of the screws. And so I put some oil in those holes and hit it with some heat, you know, because why not? And hopefully that's going to loosen it up. Okay, so I'm going to flip it back over and see if that's going to help me loosen up these screws. I don't want to burn the rubber on my mat. Good morning. Welcome to the next day. So I wanted to show you that even though I let all of this sit overnight, these screws are still very well set. And at this point, I don't feel like I want to tap this out. It looks like on the back that there's a place I can tap this out, but it doesn't want to come out easily, and I don't want to force it. So what I have decided to do is just put the machine into my electrolysis tank as is right now. Sometimes it will loosen up, you know, things like these screws and stuff, so that after it comes out of the tank, I can get those out. I just don't want to damage those screws, you know, and they're just not going to come out, and I'm just concerned at this point that there could be an issue. So I'm going to go ahead and put her in there. I don't think that she's going to take all that long, because honestly, there's not that much paint on her. Lots of oil, and I do need to get all of that oil off before I can paint her, or else the paint won't stick. But as you can see, there's only a few small pieces of paint, and yeah, they're gonna come off pretty easily. But all of the gunk and everything that's in there, the electrolysis tank will help that to be all loosened up and everything. So I will show you when she comes out what she looks like, and if I'm able to get, actually I should take this off, but I'll deal with that after. But once she comes out, we'll see what she looks like, again, like I just said. So let me go ahead, dunk her in my tank. I have a whole nother video about my electrolysis tank and everything like that. So I'm not going to go into that right now, but we'll see in just a few days. And I wanted to show you, I just plugged her in, and she's already starting to do her thing. Basically, I have my black connected to her spool pin up there. I know the water looks gross. That's just the way it is. But in another day or so, all of the yuck is going to be off of her, and we can clean her up really, really shiny. Okay, while that is in the tank, I'm going to take apart my bobbin winder. And if you can see, she looks a lot different than the last time. And basically, I know this is going to push some people over the edge, but while she was complete and totally nasty, I quickly ran her through my media blaster, because it was going to really help me to get her clean. And she's still, everything turns. She's fine. I can polish her up beautifully. But there are pieces on here that I need to paint, so I need to get it taken apart. So I just want to show you how I'm going to do this, because this bobbin winder is a little different from some of the other ones. First, I'm taking off this little flat screw, my little magnet dish over here. This, okay. This whole piece is going to come up, okay, and it is connected by a pin, so I am not going to be taking that apart. I'll just be cleaning it up really well. Okay. In Singer machines, there's usually a spring in here, but there is no spring. I don't see any holes for a spring to go into, so I'm guessing there is just no spring on this one. Okay, I need to get a tiny wrench to deal with this back piece. Actually, I might be able to just grab it. Yeah, I could just grab it with these pliers. All right, so while I'm holding that nut back here, I want to make sure that this screw is not turning. And unscrew this. Almost, almost. Okay, so that nut is off. And now I can push this up. I should be able to just kind of tap it. Hang on a sec. Grabbing something to tap with. Okay. So this little cog is going to come loose. And this is that main screw that's going down the center. It's interesting. It's got a raised place here. Big bearing type side here, another secondary bearing type side there, a shoulder, and then threads. Okay, that's what that looks like. Now I'm gonna change the bit here to get a smaller one because I want to get this little heart-shaped cog off. I think I need a different bit. Hold on. That is not wanting to come off, so I'm going to throw some oil in here and here. This is the back of that little screw. Just let it sit for a while, and then I'll come back and try her again in a bit. So I don't want to strip it. On here, this stays in, you know, it just spins. This has a little spring in it. It's going to stay in. I'll polish these ends up, but this part's going to get painted. I need to take this bracket off though. And I'm thinking I might paint this little bracket. Let me think about that. But let me get a larger bit for this big screw here and see if I can just hold on to this nut on this side. Nope, I need to get a real wrench. Hang on a sec. All right, I ended up having to put it in my vise to hold it while I worked on it. So this is that little back screw, and that was a 1/2 inch size. And now, hang on, let me just untwist this a little more. Now is coming this bracket, okay? The bracket has one side with little indentations, 6 little spots that almost look like a ball bearing should go into, okay? That is curving towards the front. So it's going to go on this way with that curving towards the front that way, all right? Then there is a flat washer, and then the metal, okay? And over here on this side, when this comes out, it also has a washer, but it's a curved washer, and it's curving away from the screw head. So it's curving towards the cast part of the body here, okay? And then the big screw, all right? So, okay, I just got done cleaning this, and I've changed my mind. I've decided I'm gonna leave the metal shiny. I think I like that, you know, and there's going to be a wheel right here that I'm, you know, repolishing that wheel and everything because it was pretty bad. What I'm thinking I'm going to do, though, because this is, I don't believe it's steel, I believe it's iron, but I'm toying with the idea of giving it a very light coat from my diamond coat, clear coat in the little aerosol can. Not enough to give it a lot of thickness, but enough to give it a protective layer so it doesn't want to oxidize and rust later. So I might do that, but I just wanted to point out, yeah, polished up really pretty, and I'm gonna just leave it so it's the shiny metal. Okay, it's actually been 2 days. I just pulled this out of the tank this morning. And I wanted to show you what we have, what turned out fabulous, and what I am stuck with. First of all, the red that was everywhere, that was the primer that was used on this. So when all the paint came off, that primer was still on. And the primer did not come off in my tank. It loosened up and turned into almost like a clay kind of consistency, but it didn't come off. So what I do is when I pull it out of my tank, I take it over here and blow it as dry as I can with my air compressor. and then come over here and dry it off the rest of the way with my heat gun. Okay, and then once it's dry, then I go over it with this, you know, because that gets off a whole lot of stuff really quick. And then I come back with my Dremel and get around all the smaller little pieces, because that works well with a little wire brush. That one's about ready to be replaced now. And then I can come back, and this is a 600 grit little sanding sponge, and just go over everything and make sure that it's all good. So, remember I left all of this stuff in here? And it's still in there. It's very clean now, you know. It's still very, very clean, so I'm happy about that. And I am just going to mask it off. That is staying in there. That is all the mechanism for that stitch length, you know. It just is what it is. This is what I am frustrated about. Even after being in my E-tank, I can't get this plate off. It's not really necessary that I do because this machine doesn't have feed dogs. You know, I can work around it, but I'm frustrated with that. That is the first time I've ever been beaten by a plate. So I'm just going to mask around it, you know, in the whole vein of do no harm kind of stuff. It is what it is, but this is going to stay on, and I'm going to clean that up a little bit more. All of these little bolts are nice and clean now too, and all of this. So yeah, that is what we are left with. Let's see underneath. She's nice and clean underneath. I got in here, dried that all out. I need to do some finish work right there. You can see the remnants of some of that red primer underneath here. Because I have not gone over it with my little sanding sponge down here yet. But that is it. I am going to be calling it a day in here for right now, and then next time I'm going to get started giving her beautiful paint job. So I hope you can join me for that, and I will see you then. Bye-bye.